Hare Krishna, all of you. Hope I am audible.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So I see that today Kanchan Thakur, she also joined. Hare Krishna, Kanchan Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
So you are anywhere related to any of these other devotees who have joined? No? I see that you are coming for the first time. Is it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Can you quickly introduce yourself?
Myself Kanchan Dubey Prabhuji, and my brother is already in your group. Gita Subodhini one, Thakur Chetan Singh.
Okay. What's his name?
Thakur Chetan Singh.
Oh, okay. Hari.
He was suggesting me to join this, but
Okay.
I have joined already from previous 2 years back. Prabhuji.
Okay, very nice. So you are located where, Mataji?
Near Begum Bazar, Prabhuji.
Oh, Begum Bazar. You are in Hyderabad only. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You have small kids?
Yes, Prabhuji. Two.
How old is he or she?
No, one is elder daughter 7 years old and the other one is 5 years old. But right now it's my brother's son who is making noise over here.
Okay, very nice. Thank you, Mataji, Kanchan Mataji, to join. I welcome you to this program. And if you have any questions, concerns, please do interact with any of us, including me. I'll try to help you. And thank you, Swapna Mataji, to join. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. So I knew that Chetan Singh Thakur Prabhuji is influencing so many devotees. Thank you for joining. Could you quickly introduce yourself?
Prabhuji, I'm Swapna. I'm actually from IT field. So I recently joined in Gita Sandesa. So Chetan Singh suggested me to join here also. So
Very nice.
I thought this is the first day.
Which IT field, which domain you work?
I work for UK accounting, Prabhuji.
Okay. More finance domain or what domain?
Yeah, for finance domain.
Oh, wow, that's really good. So if we have lack of funds, then we'll approach it. How to give some suggestions.
Yeah, definitely. My pleasure. Thanks, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji, for joining. And once again, if you have any questions, concerns about this program, the way it is going, and also if you're not able to follow anything, please do interact with us.
Yeah, sure.
Thank
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So we will sing this wonderful song. It's a Vaishnava song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Vibhavari Shesha. So let's sing that, and after that we'll start the class. It's a lengthy song, but let's see how far we can go. Vibhavari Shesha Aloka Pravesha Nidra Chadi Utho Jiva Vibhavari Shesha Aloka Pravesha Nidra Chari Utho Jiva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Vibhavari Shesha Aloka Pravesha Nidra Chadi Utho Jiva Narsimha Vamana Shri Madhusudana Narsimha Vamana Shri Madhusudana Brajendra Randana Shama Narsimha Vamana Shri Madhusudana Brajendra Nandana Shama Putana Dhatana Kaitaba Shatana Jaya Dasharati Rama पूतन घातन कैतवशातन जय दशरथि रामा यशोद दूलाला गोविंद गोपाला वृंदावन पुरंदरा गोपी प्रिया जन राधिका रमन भुवन सुंदर भारा गोपी प्रिया जन राधिका रमन भुवन सुंदर भारा विभवरी शेष आलोक प्रवेश निद्रा छड़ी उठो जीवा रावण तस्कर माकन रावण तकर मखन तस्कर गोपी जन वस्त्रहारी ब्रजेर राखल गोप वृंदापल चित्त हरि बंशीधारी योगेंद्र वंदन श्री नंद नंदन ब्रज जन भयहारी नवीन नीरद रूप मनोहर मोहन बंशी बिहारी यशोदनंदन कंसनी सूदन निकुंज रस विलासी कदम्ब कानन रस परायण वृंद विपिन निवासी आनंद वर्धन प्रेम निकेतन कुलशराज जगामा गोपंग गान चित्त विनोदन समस्त गुण गण धाम जमुन जीवन केली परायण मानस चंद्र चकोरा नाम सुधारस गाओ कृष्णा जसा राखो बचन मन मोरा विभावरी शेष आलोक प्रवेश निद्रा छड़ी उठो जीवा बोलो हरि हरि मुकुंद मुरारी राम कृष्ण हयग्रीवा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं तत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्येश्वरम्। So I once again thank you all for joining today. So let's quickly see what have we been discussing about so far. So in the last class, that is the 7th chapter, knowledge of the absolute. So we were discussing with the heading head, H-E-A-D, head, and wherein Krishna was speaking about the 6 stages, the process of bhakti, which is what he discussed about. It starts with the hearing process, and we also discussed about that we come to know about the material and spiritual world, and we see that Krishna is present everywhere. So he is there in the water, he is there everywhere, you name it. So that is where he talked about your process, 6 stages of your bhakti. In that he said your bhakti starts with hearing. So the way what we are doing right now is that we are doing the hearing process, which is what our bhakti is going to kindle from here. Okay, and E stands for the everywhere, where you find that Krishna is everywhere, and you can relate and remember Krishna in that way also. And A stands for taking the shelter of Krishna. A stands for accept or reject. There are 4 kinds of people who accept and surrender to Krishna, and there are 4 kinds of people who do not surrender to Krishna, and but that's what Krishna has told about that. And in the end, Krishna talked about the demigods and who are the people who worship these demigods, and he talked about the impersonalists who do not, they consider that there is something higher than themselves, but again they do not consider that that being, the higher being, is having a form, and but that kind of people are called impersonalists. And Krishna also spoke about the bewilderment of the some of the people get bewildered, and he talked about and he touched upon a subject called Yoga Mishra Bhakta. So he kind of gave that impetus to take it to the next chapter, the Yoga Mishra Bhakta, and that was the last, was the 2 slokas he talked about Yoga Mishra Bhakta. So can somebody remember what did we speak about this last category, that is the category called Yoga Mishra Bhakta? So what are these Yoga Mishra Bhaktas? What are the characteristics of these kind of people? Anybody could unmute and say if you have remembered. If not, we'll anyway revise. Nobody? Anybody in the chat? Okay. Nobody remembers anything about Yoga Mishra Bhakta. So you are absolutely following ISKCON. ISKCON say ISKCON. It's called ISKCON. So, so Mishra means what? Just understand this way. Am I in mute or something? No, right? Okay. So Mishra means what? Mishra means mixture. Yoga Mishra Bhakta. So they are Bhaktas, but again they are mixed. So they are not pure. That is what we can talk about when we say Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. Anything that you remember about the characteristics? Anybody? Mixed, yes. Kanchan Mataji says mixed, yes. Anybody? Any few characteristics? And see, unless until we inquire and participate this subject of Bhagavad Gita, you cannot really take the full advantage. So that is the reason why I kind of force you and stop. With material desire, Prabhuji, yeah, yes, they do have some desire. Like, so, but I don't think we can consider that as the material desire. I'll tell you why. Anybody could elaborate on this? Because if you understand this, then go ahead, Mother.
They are the devotees actually. They know Krishna, but they have some desires Some are material and some are spiritual, Prabhuji. Mixed
Oh.
kind of desires with the consciousness of Krishna. I mean, they worship Krishna as a supreme God. They are in Krishna consciousness, but they have these mixed kind of desires of material and spiritual, Prabhuji.
Okay, so let's get that little more clarity on that because that's not exactly what Yoga Mishra Bhaktas are. So Yoga Mishra Bhaktas are basically, so they are doing their endeavor because they wanted to get liberated. Okay, one thing, just understand one bullet point. Yoga Mishra Bhaktas are, one of the characteristic is that they wanted liberation. Second is that they are not craving for sense gratification. They are not interested in sense gratification. And that means when you say they are having material desire, that means they have sense gratification. So material desire is to enjoy. So they do not have that. So they wanted liberation. They do not have sense gratification. They accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. But now the question may come, how are they different then? If you talk about the devotees or bhaktas versus the Yoga Mishra Bhaktas, how are they different then? Can somebody think about it now based on the hint that I have given? Anybody? Is the definition clear or still you have confusion?
Few bhaktas, sir. Always remembering and chanting Krishna.
Okay, always remembering and chanting Krishna is what? Who does that?
Is a pure bhakta.
Okay, okay, very nice. Any other inputs, anybody? Okay, so what happens is that, see, they are approaching Krishna for what? So they are approaching Krishna such that they can get liberated. Okay, so they can get liberated from this material world. Okay, so they do not wanted this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Some of us or most of us are more or less coming into that category because we do not, because slowly, eventually what will happen is that we know that we should not do things for sense gratification. Slowly that diminishes. We'll see that also more. But again, there might be some craving inside which says that, see, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, see, taking birth again, death again, and having diseases, having old age, all this is so painful journey. And Krishna also says, this material world is, what is the definition he gives? We'll see that in the 8th chapter. He says, Dukhalayam Asashrutam. So this is Dukhalayam. So they knew that, and then they wanted liberation from this. So now, actually, these Yoga Mishra Bhaktas worship Krishna. They are also worshipping Krishna only, and they are worshipping Krishna for liberation. But on contrary, if you see, the devotees worship Krishna for what? Just to please Krishna. So nothing else they do. Whether it is liberation is there or not there, they really don't care about liberation. See, you know that pastime story in Vrindavan where Krishna wanted to glorify his devotees. That too, the Brajavasis, the Gopis, how great they are, how much they love Krishna. That's what he wanted to really show it to this entire world. And so that we can also really get some things from them, right? So Krishna says that I have a severe headache, and Narada comes there and he says that Narada, please go and get some dust from the feet of my devotees and apply it on my forehead so that I will my headache will going away. So then Narada goes and asks the all the queens in the palace. Then the queens say that how is that our dust applying it on the Supreme Lord Krishna? So we will get Mahapatakam. So we will go to that's a we cannot do that. So then he goes to as the sages, and that all again the sages also repeat the same thing. And then he goes to Vrindavan and asks the gopis. Immediately the gopis jump on the mud wherever the dust is there, and they say that they fill it in a bag and then gives it to Narada and say that please go and apply. Then Narada says, what are you doing? Your dust you are giving it to Krishna and applying it on. Do you know what will happen to you? Then gopis say that we really don't care whether we are going to Narakaloka, we are not getting liberation, we are getting whatever, we don't care. We wanted to see that Krishna is happy. Krishna is getting the pleasure and he get relieved. If that is what relieves him, then we are good to go to any extent. So that is the pure love. That is what we are talking about, and that is what is lacking in the Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. So each one of us, see, you might see that how Krishna is gradually taking us to a next level. How did Bhagavad Gita start? Can somebody, what was Krishna trying to tell Arjuna? How did he start this entire Bhagavad Gita? Motivating Arjuna to fight in one way, yes. But again, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita started from where? What was the first instruction that Krishna gave to Arjuna? Can somebody remember?
Prabhuji, he gave first of all the devotional service. Then he talks about the knowledge. Then he talks about the pure devotion.
Mataji will stop there. See, Krishna, the way he has approached this Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter, first he has told Arjuna, just do your, just do your work. Please do the work. He just pleaded, please do the work. And do the work, because whether you do the work here means fight the battle. And fight the battle because if you win, you will be able to enjoy the kingdom. If you lose, you will go to heavenly planets. So that is what he said. He said, don't give up your work. That's what he said. Because he wanted to run away from the battle and take sannyas in one way. So then he said, work. In both ways, it is good for you. Slowly then, he in the second chapter itself, he then elaborated that, and he said what? Do your prescribed duties. So initially he said, just do work. Then he said, do your prescribed duties. And prescribed duties are there in, where are these prescribed duties? As per the Shastra, do your prescribed duties or do your karma. And the previous one, he said, you do your, in one way it is karma kanda. Do your karma or prescribed duties is what he said. Next in the third chapter, how did he gradually move? He said, do your work and remember me. So that was the third chapter where he kind of gave the hint that do your work, but also remember me. Now in this 8th chapter, this is where he is trying to go and tell about various kinds of devotees in one way or bhaktas. And he said about karma yogi, jnana yogi, ashtanga yogi, and now he is talking about bhakti yogis. Before going to bhakti yogis, an intermediate level which he is talking about is Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. Okay, the pure devotees, what Krishna is trying to target is that a pure devotee always remembers me, and while he is doing work also he is remembering me. Now this is where Krishna is going to elaborate on this subject. Now before I go to the subject of this today's chapter, which is attaining the Supreme, when you can attain the Supreme, you can attain the Supreme when you remember Krishna always and do not forget Krishna anytime. So don't forget Krishna, remember Krishna always. So that kind of it might be like a hypothetical stage that we are going to, but it is not. Krishna is going to elaborate and give you practical hints how you can really remember Krishna always and not forgetting Krishna, because that's not an easy stage that we need to go. We will be going, but again, the process is what is going to set, which we follow. We will go back to Goloka for sure. Okay. Now you may ask one question. What about these Yoga Mishra Bhaktas? Where do they really go then? Anybody? Think. Where do you think these Yoga Mishra Bhaktas go? What is their desire? What is their ultimate desire?
They want liberation.
Liberation. And but do they say, are they desiring for pleasing Krishna and serving Krishna? Are they?
No.
No. So they just wanted liberation, and for that they are approaching Krishna, and now will they go to Goloka?
No, Prabhuji, they will go to the spiritual worlds, but not Goloka.
Okay. So these people are more or less like we cannot say whatever the impersonalist sometimes attain that Brahma Jyoti level, till that level these people can go. Because they have not aspired for it. They are not asking for it, that they wanted to go to Goloka. And they do not wanted to serve Krishna in Goloka. So obviously, where will they go? They will go to the Brahma Jyoti level only. So that is what it is. Now, you may ask, are these people, they consider Krishna as the Supreme Lord and they are doing, so do they have some kind of a bhakti in them, or there is no bhakti at all? So these are all general questions. You may not have been raising. I have raised myself, and I saw. Yeah, go ahead, Mataji. Yeah?
They lead a spiritual liberation, I think so.
Spiritual liberation. Okay. Yeah. No, basically what my question was, not to confuse you, but to give you the clarity about these Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. Now, when we say that these Yoga Mishra Bhaktas are considering Krishna as the Supreme Lord, and they are only praying to Krishna only, and they wanted liberation. Now, do they have some bhakti in them or not? And for that matter, do these Jnana Yogis have bhakti in them or not? Or Ashtanga Yogis, or Karma Yogis, do they have bhakti component in them?
Yes, Prabhu.
Right. Then how do
they have? They have.
Okay. How do they differ with the actual bhakti yogis?
The percentage of bhakti is less.
Excellent. Excellent, Prabhu, Venkat Prabhu. So the percentage of bhakti in them is not good enough for them to really go back to the Goloka, or we cannot qualify them that they are bhakti yogis. So that is the reason why this classification is there. See, the Jnana Yogi also has bhakti in them, but it is not good enough, or the percentage of is less. Maybe 20% bhakti they have, maybe 10% bhakti. Karma yogis also do have the bhakti in them. But again, their percentage is less. When it comes to these Jnana Yogis and these Yoga Mishra Bhaktas, their bhakti level is lesser than 50%. The bhakti, whatever they are having, that in bhakti means what? Service to Supreme Lord. So their devotion and the inner desire to serve the Supreme Lord is not so much. They wanted liberation for themselves only. They are not seeking service or interested in doing service to the Supreme Lord. If it is there also, it is just 50%, maximum 50%. So as soon as they go beyond 50%, that's where they can really get qualified to come into the Bhakti Yogi category. Okay, but once you are crossing 50%, your bhakti is, and that means the desire to serve the Supreme Lord without any ulterior motive. See, the words that you have seen in Raja Vidya, if you see that, such a nice book, Raja Vidya, unalloyed devotional service, you come across that. What is the definition of unalloyed devotional service? The Annamaya devotion service is what is exhibited by gopis. They do not want so they do not have any other desire. The desire, if it is there also, that see, they are not desireless. Desires are there, and the desire is to what is that? To serve the Supreme Lord, and they wanted to do it. Now a question may come: how is that we can move towards in that category? So that is what Krishna is going to explain in this particular chapter. The beauty of this chapter is attaining the Supreme. So if you wanted to attain the Supreme, which is what is our goal, the Yoga Mishra Bhaktas are not desiring to attain the Supreme. They just wanted liberation. So that is the reason why he is trying to tell and compare and contrast between these different types of call it as devotees or different types of bhaktas. But again, the bhakti yogis are those who are desiring only that, and the ideal example is gopis. Okay. Any other questions anybody has before we really move on to the other things?
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Sure, Prabhu. Go ahead.
So you're telling this Yoga Mishra Bhaktas have only desire for liberation, right? Is that they only have that desire for liberation? Do they not know that if, like they can go beyond that and reach Goloka? Why they are not aspiring for that?
See, it all depends. See, if you ask, yeah, but that's a really excellent question. But if you ask yourself, you are vexed up with this Janma Murtyu Jara Vyadhi, and you just wanted to come out of it and be in that peaceful environment where you are not really bothered. But again, the orientation is all towards you. See, why you have become like that? It's because that also could be because of the false ego that you have. See, you are made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. Your ego is asking for it, and your self-interest is still there. So purification has yet not happened. But again, that's nothing wrong. They have approached the Supreme Lord. They are considering the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna only. But it's a journey, and you see, ultimately all these, the Ashtanga yogis, the Jnana yogis, the Karma yogis, and including this Yoga Mishra Bhaktas, they will realize one day. They will realize one day, and then they will definitely follow the Bhakti Yoga part only. But again, when it will happen, it all depends upon their interest and endeavor. So we cannot tell anything. But that's a good progress in one way to ask. When the way they have come like that. And there might be because for whatever reason, I don't know. But what do you think? Why is that they have that kind of a desire? Why not? They know that this is the ultimate. Why is that they are not getting it? Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji, actually, they are self-centered. Till that self-centered, I mean, their desire is for self, not for the God. That's why till that they come out of that shell, probably they will never be able to understand.
Absolutely, Prabhu. So if you see, the topmost devotees are, who are those topmost devotees? In Bhagavatam also, if you see, so who are the topmost devotees as per Bhagavatam? The gopis. Because we have seen the example also. So they are not looking for liberation. They are not looking for anything. So they just want to please the Supreme Lord. Okay. So we will see that how is that see, this chapter, Attaining the Supreme, is the smallest of all the chapters that are 18 chapters that are there. There are only 28 verses, and the Krishna is trying to categorize these 28 slokas into three sections in one way. The first is that results of remembering Krishna versus anything else. So Krishna is trying to compare here what is the result, what will be the end goal if somebody remembers Krishna And versus if you are remembering anything else in the fag end of your life or just before you are leaving this material body. That is one kind of a comparison and categorization that in the sloka wise that Krishna has done in this particular chapter. First section is that. First category is that. Second is that he's talking about the process of practice of remembering of Krishna in Bhakti Yoga versus the Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. He is trying to contrast and compare between the Bhakti Yogis versus the Yoga Mishra Bhaktas, the process of practice of remembering Krishna. They also kind of remember Krishna. Here also they kind of remember Krishna. But again, they come to Krishna for some reason. Here they come to Krishna for other reasons. And he is trying to give you the process called sadhana. What kind of a sadhana you can do such that you can go back to Goloka instead of just getting liberated from this material difficulties. So that's what he's going to tell. And the last comparison he does about how to basically remember Krishna. Execution of remembering Krishna. So how do I execute such that I can remember Krishna only while leaving this material body? He kinds of gives you various ways that you can come out of it when you remember Krishna. So that is the contrast that he brings in there. Okay, so we'll go with the first sloka in the Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, in the first sloka, meaning the 8th chapter, first sloka. So let me open it up. Okay, so the acronym for this particular chapter 8 is acronymed by the word DEAD, D-E-A-D. So that's what I sent in the WhatsApp chat if you have seen. D stands for what? Anybody? D stands for? Nobody has seen. D stands for?
Doubts, Prabhuji.
Doubts. So after Krishna talking about certain things, here Arjuna has got few doubts, and that is where he's trying to clarify that doubt. See the important observation that you see, Krishna has never condemned the doubts that are getting raised by Arjuna. You might have said Krishna might have never suppressed the doubts that are coming from the Arjuna side. So each one of you also please try to ask yourself these kind of it might be like very silly questions, but you remember one thing I might have repeated 1,000 times now, what Einstein used to say. Can somebody remember what I said about Einstein? About this questioning kind of thing. Nobody? Okay, so Einstein said everybody knows XYZ of everything, nobody knows ABC of anything. That means ABC of anything meaning our fundamentals are not strong. So if your fundamentals are strong, then you can build your and you can just get out of this material world easily, because your fundamentals should be strong. And by asking some fundamental doubts, very basic doubts, that's where we solidify our understanding. So don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions which are bothering you or you are not able to understand. Very simple doubts. The way LKG, UKG boys ask, if you can ask like that, then only we'll be able to progress in our spiritual path. Not just that you are taking it for granted, oh, this is what it is. So read in, see, whenever they, as earlier mentioned, Bhagavad Gita, you need to study. Swadhyaya, you need to study, not just read. So that's what. Okay, so we will read the first sloka from the Attaining the Supreme. Arjuna Uvacha kim tad brahma, kim adhyatmam, kim karma purushottama, adi bhutam cha kim proktam, adi daivam kim uchyate. So here, the translation wise, Arjuna inquired, "O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me." So these are the first 6 questions he's asking. In addition to that, he's asking one other very important question. Quickly, what Krishna does is that he'll quickly tell about what are these, quickly clarify these first 6 doubts, and he emphasizes and takes the the second question, what the last question, the 7th question, what Arjuna has asked, and explains elaborately. That's what we'll see.
I have a doubt.
Prabhuji,
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji. One by one. Go ahead, Mataji, you go ahead.
yes, Prabhuji. Here Arjuna has Krishna in the previous chapter described about Brahman. He told about his 24 elements, or I mean the manifestation or his energies, and also he explained about demigods and everything. Again, why Arjuna has asked these questions in this chapter, Prabhuji? It was taught previously, no, Prabhuji. We as with this knowledge, we know these answers. Arjuna is a great intelligent person. He would have know all these answers before chapters only, no, Prabhuji.
So we will see that in greater detail why Arjuna is asking these questions. Because first of all, he's asking what is Brahman. So the definition for a Brahman is what is Krishna is going to explain in one word answers, such that it will become the basis for his understanding. See, each and every term that he's using, in which section you are talking also matters. Now he is in Bhakti Yoga. He might have got the clarification when he was in Gnana Yoga or Karma Yoga. So that is the reason why Sanskrit, it has to be studied under, or Bhagavad Gita should be studied under the supervision of a guide or under a guru, because the revelation is different based on, see, Brahman itself, there are so many meanings. We'll see that. Can somebody read the purport for me, please? Anybody who has just joined today?
I can.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give opportunity. Kanchan Mataji, you wanted to read this, if it is visible to you?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah, the purport.
In this chapter, Lord Krishna answers different questions from Arjuna, beginning with what is Brahman. The Lord also explains karma, fruitive activities, devotional service, and yoga principles and devotional service in its pure form. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the supreme absolute truth is known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. In addition, the living entity, the individual soul, is also called Brahman. Arjuna also inquires about Atma, which refers to body, soul, and mind. According to the Vedic dictionary, Atma refers to the mind, soul, body, and sense also. Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottama, Supreme Person, which means that he was putting these questions not simply to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the Supreme Authority, able to give definitive answers.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. So if you see here, he's basically, Krishna is asking so many questions, but he's addressing him as Purushottama. One thing, there is, whenever Arjuna is addressing Krishna by a particular name, it has got a very significant reason why he's calling him by that name only. In the next sloka, he talks about Madhusudana. So there is also a significance why he is addressing Krishna as Madhusudana. Now, taking cue for the answers what Krishna is going to give, let us see that in the second. So in this particular sloka, where Arjuna is asking, Adi yajna katam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katam gneyosi niyatatma bihi. So here Arjuna is asking prayana kale cha katam. So basically what he is asking is, who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in the body? O Madhusudana. Here he is addressing his as Madhusudana. And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? See, they say that the life, the activities and the life is like a preparation. So the life that you have taken, whatever activities, whatever you are doing, is all the preparation you are doing. And the death is the examination. Whether you are passing or failing, you will get to know only in the examination. So, as some of you know, that there are some organizations by name called what is that? Art of Living. So ISKCON is not an institution which talks about art of living only, but it also talks about art of dying. So more emphasis is given to this one because that is an examination. When you are leaving this material body, in what state you are living determines your next life. So how important is that? Understand, how you live your entire life is not that important. It is important because that is how you, at the time of examination, you know that as some of you were like, definitely all of you were like students in your earlier life, earlier times. If you may not have been taking any exams this now, but with your experience, you know that if you prepared well, then you will be able to pass the exam, and if you are not prepared well, you will fail in the exam. So similarly, the Krishna is going to address that, and here Arjuna is asking, as how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So that is what Krishna is going to elaborate on this particular thing, and we will see that. Okay, so let us talk about that a little bit. What are some of the answers that Krishna has given? So the first one, the Brahman, he says that Brahman means the soul, and Parabrahma means super soul. So one difference that you should understand is that Brahman and Parabrahma. Brahman means the soul. As per the Vedic dictionary, it also says that it is mind, body, soul, and senses also. That's what we read in the purport. But for the matter here, just so that we do not misunderstand as these Mayavadis misunderstand. They say that what? I am Supreme Lord and me do not have any difference, because they say that Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi means what? They are saying that I am also Brahma, Supreme Lord is also Brahma. But clearly here it is mentioned that there is something called Parabrahma, and that Parabrahma is nothing but the super soul here. That we need to understand. And we are Brahman. We are the souls, individual souls, and we can also call ourselves as Jivas or Jivatmas. Okay, so that's the difference that one should understand. That's what is emphasized. The second one is Adi Atma, nature of the soul. Adi Atma means the nature of the soul. In one way, you can say that it is what is your Swabhava. So the Swabhava means what? The constitutional position, inherent nature of the soul. So Adi Atma means nature of the soul. What is the nature of the soul is what he is inquiring. So these are some of the questions he is asking. Yeah, go ahead. Anybody has any?
Yes, sorry. Yeah. Adi Atma, I assumed it was also meant old in sense, and it has been always been there. Adi Atma. Can I assume that?
I don't understand. Well, can you repeat it one more time?
Adi Atma, I assume it also means that it is old. Old means not in terms of material.
Adi means you are saying it is age old. Adi means past. So, but as per the definition, the question wise, it is he's inquiring Adi Atma means what is the nature of the soul, and what is the swabhava or the constitutional position, inherent nature of the soul. So, what is that inherent? What is self? He was asking, right? What is self? The Adi Atma. So that is what, as per the definition of the Acharya Srila Prabhupada, and as per the context, this is what is the question. Not that it is old. Not see, it is supposed to be a question, and the question is Adi Atma means he's asking the nature of the soul. Now, the actual constitutional position of the soul, what is it? That's what he's asking. Adi. Adi can also mean, see, you might have got the right context in one way, Ramesh Prabhu, but Adi can also mean back then what was I? Now I might have got contaminated, but what was I back then? What is my purest state phase? What am I? You can also take it that way. Adi means that, which is earlier it was pure, now I became impure. What is that nature? He might also be asking in that context. So the next one is karma, those activities that make the living entity acquire the body. So see, if you know that any activity that engages the soul to take the body, that is what which is made because of the interaction with the material elements. With that you might acquire some results, because of which that is called karma, which will bind you to come back to this material world again. So that is what collectively those activities are called karma. You got this? What is karma? Those activities that make the living entity to acquire the body, and the body that we are referring here is that material body. Okay, and this material body is made up of a number of elements. We know that. How many elements?
24.
5.
How many again?
26 Prabhu.
26. Okay, so we have seen 25, which were very clear. What was the 26th one?
Unmanifested.
Unmanifested what?
Prabhuji, desire.
Unmanifested desires. So that is also, you may not qualify in terms of material elements, but it is also material, because that desire will also be there when, and that will what will take give rise to your coming back to this material world. So that is what we need to understand, and it has got a beautiful the way Krishna is taking this subject matter. You know what? It is so systematic and very so nicely is taking chapter by chapter. If you start reading and studying, analyzing things, you will enjoy this whole subject. Okay, so that's what karma means.
Prabhuji, while explaining Krishna, this Bhagavad Gita, he didn't categorize it, no Prabhuji. He didn't kept the headings of the chapter. He continuously followed the slokas of 700 change. So, who has categorized these according to that subject? And
No. These, if you see, these names of the what do you say, chapters were given by Vedavyasa.
Okay.
So some of the chapter names Srila Prabhupada has modified as per the see, not with the see, the first chapter name was what from Vedavyas. It was Vishada Yoga. And what was the chapter name given by Srila Prabhupada?
Introduction to observing the armies at the time
in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So he has changed it. Changed it in the sense that is Vishada Yoga only. But he was actually Arjuna was observing the armies. Then something happened. So as part of that, Vishadam also came. But to get the things right, he has given these names, not changing the meaning altogether. Just to make the context very clear to us. See, there was no word called Supreme Personality of Godhead in the entire English dictionary. SPOG was not there. The Godhead name was not there in the entire dictionary. And there are so many terms that Srila Prabhupada invented, such that you see, The Bhagavad Gita you are able to read and understand just because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Just take it for granted. You will not be able to understand Bhagavad Gita the way we are understanding if Srila Prabhupada has not given this knowledge to us in such a lucid way. Just see, Rajavidya, the book that we have read, the subject matter is topmost matter. And how in a lucid terms he has explained everything. You will be surprised. I was also thinking, Rajavidya is such a tough subject. Tough subject in the sense it's very difficult to understand. But the way he has put it and the very lucid ways so that we can able to relate, understand. So that's what it is. And what was the question again? I lost track.
Like we have given the chapter names according to that subject. Is Krishna has given individual chapter names before starting the first sloka of the first chapter?
No.
Or the
First of all, understand that Krishna has not written any book. So Krishna has just spoke all that continuously in that 45 minutes.
For our understanding, for the people understanding, Vyasadeva has divided according to that.
Yes. He has divided them and he has given the right names also for each chapter. So you see that in the in whatever I gave, what was the name I have? If you see the, let me just quickly see that.
Caption for the Food for Soul, Prabhuji, or
no. See this actually today what I have sent you in the chat message. You might have seen attaining the supreme Akshara Brahma Yoga. That was the name given by Vyadavyas. Akshara Brahma Yoga. Attaining the supreme is the name given by Srila Prabhupada. If you original Sanskrit, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, this is the title. Now this is what he has given. Okay, anyways. Anybody has any other doubt? Ramesh Prabhu, you are also saying something?
Prabhuji, I have read Telugu book, Prabhuji. Telugu Bhagavad Gita book I have read. So in this, Sanjay will be telling about the Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. So as Vedavyas has written, whatever Sanjay has been telling, that has been written by Vedavyas.
Yes, that's correct.
The recitation here is the mainly person is the Sanjay. Sanjay will be reciting what Krishna has said. That is the truth.
No, basically.
And what you are saying about the book, which Srila Prabhupada has written it, and what I have read in this Bhagavad Gita Telugu book, which I have read. So it has been divided as Vedavyas has been.
What is the question, Mataji?
How did Srila Prabhupada has divided this what book which he has written Raja Yoga book? So I just wanted to know the difference of both books, Prabhuji.
No. So the Raja Vidya, it's not Raja Yoga, Raja Vidya. So Raja Vidya means, the Vidya means you know that. What is Vidya?
Yeah.
Knowledge in one way. Not an equivalent term, but we can take it as knowledge. The king of all knowledge is what he has given, and he's taken some important slokas from Bhagavad Gita. Only you might have seen all the slokas which were coming are mostly from Bhagavad Gita only. Is that correct or not? Right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
So he has taken that and explained it to us. What is the topmost knowledge that one should get it? See, the point is that there are people who do not wanted to read Bhagavad Gita from A to Z systematically. So for those kind of people, small books have been printed, and printed in the sense Srila Prabhupada has written, such that at least they can be able to take advantage somewhere. At least they will be able to get the advantage. That's the whole point. Not that he wanted to ignore Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, from there he has taken such that they can get inspired to read Bhagavad Gita. Now by reading that Raja Vidya, you might have got so many other doubts also. So that will make you systematically read Bhagavad Gita. So that's the whole purpose. I don't know, Mataji, if I have addressed your question properly.
No. Yeah, you have addressed it properly, Prabhuji. Actually, I read Bhagavad Gita for thrice in Telugu. What Srila Prabhupada has given with slokas which has to be pointed mainly to change a person, which should be remembered always in Bhagavad Gita. So that is the purpose of Srila Prabhupada has been written, I think so.
Yes, Mataji. See,
so that is the
ultimately,
main I have to go through that.
Yes, Mataji. Ultimately, you need to know what is your end goal. So without keeping your end goal, you might get distracted anywhere. So we are trying to, and Srila Prabhupada has tried to give you that what is your target goal. Because there are lot many people in the name of Bhagavad Gita, they will try to make you deviate and go to some other route. That is not what will make you a pure devotee. That is the reason why there are so many versions of Bhagavad Gita that are in the market at the Srila Prabhupada time only, not less than 300 to 400 versions of different Bhagavad Gitas. They are translated by different people, etc., etc. But after reading Bhagavad Gita given by Srila Prabhupada, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, they have become devotees. But we are not sure about the other Bhagavad Gita books. When they read, they became devotees or not, I don't know. In fact, I also tried to read other books, but I never got inspired, never got attracted. And I would not say myself as a devotee, but at least the journey for my devotional path, a devotional journey has started. So that I can be assured, because while reading Srila Prabhupada books, that's the important takeaway you get. So hope that I made some sense there and answered your question, Mataji.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So let's discuss
in
about.
that sense only I came to join this as a devotion. I just wanted to join here, Prabhuji.
Okay.
How the sadhana and all, whatever you are doing and helping us, that is the great thing.
Mataji, why we are, see, sometimes people might have said, when we wanted to start this 5:30 Japa session. Somebody said, these people have come 18 days Bhagavad Gita, and you are immediately saying that 5:30, how can they do chanting? They have, till now, they have not done chanting. Immediately you are saying that 5:30 they will come and do chanting. They were doubtful, and I was also doubtful. But again, I said, I tried to ask myself, what is the end goal? The end goal is to become a devotees. And what is the process that they need to follow? As per Srila Prabhupada, as per the Yuga Dharma, as per Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction, as per our Guru Parampara, chanting is the way. And if we are not starting that and making them make that point clear, then what is the whole purpose? I might be a Gnani. I know the entire 700 slokas, but what good it is if I am not able to chant properly? And we will see that today, attaining the Supreme, how Srila Prabhupada, and in this chapter of 28 slokas, Srila Prabhupada has emphasized on chanting more than 8 to 9 times, and given Hare Krishna Mahamantra more than 5 to 7 times in this chapter. The entire Mahamantra in this chapter, in this 28 slokas only, in the purports, he emphasizes. Because, and again, when you are doing your chanting also, in what consciousness you wanted to chant, that is what will take you there. See, chanting everybody is doing, but can all these people who are doing chanting, whether they are Yoga Mishra Bhaktas or pure devotees, what qualifies that? How are you chanting makes a very important, what do you say, kind of a decision, that is what will take you to your final destination. How do we need to chant is what is there in this particular chapter. That's what I'm trying to say. And when, yeah. So yeah, I know I am taking a lot of.
Chant myself. first of all, I won't be chanting for a long time, Prabhuji. But what is the first thing I'm saying now? Before also I told that I can't do chanting. I don't know why. Whenever I will be doing chanting, I'll be getting disturbed. Something or the other will be coming and disturbing my mind by doing chanting. While working, I can do chanting, but by sitting, I can't able to do chanting. I don't know why like that. By working, I'll be concentration on my chanting. But while sitting at one place, I can't chant properly. My
Yes,
mind
Mataji, see, the whole process, it's not a instant results will come to you. You have accumulated the so much of anarthas, and so much is filled in your this top portion. So it will all disturb you, and it will take some time for you to remove that cheto darpana marjanam. So cheto darpana marjanam meaning that all that what is accumulated has to go out. So for that, when you chant the holy name, slowly and steadily, that will go. So we'll discuss that, Mataji. So let me go further in the subject matter. Thank you so much. So any other quick doubt anybody has before we move? Okay. So next one, he was asking about Adi Bhuta, material manifestation. So he was talking about the material manifestation. What is this Adi Bhuta? That is the material manifestation, which is what the Durga, Mother Durga, whosoever is the in charge, he's talking about that Adi Bhuta. And the fifth question was Adi Daiva. Adi Daiva means above the material manifestation. So what is this Adi Daiva? Above the material manifestation, the cosmic, what is a cosmic form of the Supreme Lord? The Virata Rupa is what is the question that Arjuna is asking. I know I am trying to define these questions such that we can, Krishna is going to address it. And he is going to tell all these questions. He is going to address very quickly, and then he will go to the actual subject matter in this particular chapter. And the sixth question was Adi Yajna. So Adi Yajna is Paramatma. So that is what he is going to talk about here. So what is the difference between the first question and the sixth question? Paramatma, he says here. And the first one was Para
Brahma.
Para Brahma. And this is Param Atma. So what is Para means? Para, so that we can easily relate. And Para means?
With a lot of effort.
Para means higher or super. You can take it like that. Superior. So we are all souls, and we are Brahmans, and he is Para Brahma or the Supreme Brahma. That is none other than the super soul, you can say. And here it is saying Adi Yajna is Paramatma. So we are Atma, Paramatma, the Supreme Lord, you can say. How can the last seventh question is what he is talking about? How can one know you at the time of death? See why Arjuna is asking these questions. Malti Maja is asked. These are all known things. Why is he asking this? See, actually, Acharyas say that the Arjuna, if you see in Srimad Bhagavatam, especially in the second chapter, second canto, first chapter, sixth sloka, this verse is there, which is called Anta Narayana Smriti. So which says that remembering the personality of Godhead at the time of end of the life will result in a certain way. So in what way it will result is what he was curious to know. And it is there in Srimad Bhagavatam in the second canto, first chapter, sixth sloka. Life should be molded in such a manner that one is able to progressively remember the personality of Godhead in every step of life. So that's their end goal, that we need to remember Krishna all the time and never forget Krishna. So the litmus test is the culmination of the whatever we are doing, whether we are culmination of gnana, karma, etc. Is that single point is that we are able to remember Krishna at the time of our death, and how we can achieve it. That's what he's going to. Krishna is going to talk about that. And as I mentioned in the chat today, this particular sloka is also called a Paribhashya Sutra. Paribhashya Sutra is basically everything is revolving around this particular sutra or on this particular verse. And if you see, the central focus or the purpose of Bhagavad Gita can also be attributed to this particular chapter in one way, and also to this sloka. If you can understand this sloka well, and you can understand the execution of this the process that Krishna is giving, then you will be able to reach your ultimate destination, and you can get the best benefit, utility for the time you are putting to read the Bhagavad Gita or study the Bhagavad Gita. So probably that is where we will end today. If you have any questions, we can take it up. So what we have tried to address today is more or less discussed about the kind of doubts that Arjuna was asking, and there are 7 doubts that he has asked, out of which the Paribhashya Sutra is the last 7th question that where Krishna will emphasize max, and wherein he will tell what will happen to those who remember me by the end of their life, and how is it possible that you can what is the process that you can remember Krishna by end of your life, and how could I really put that into action such that I can remember Krishna by end of my life, so that I can go back to his Goloka, because that is what Krishna is saying. Once you remember me by end of this life, then you'll go you'll coming back and you'll attain my nature. And that's what my nature meaning, he will be going back to his abode. How is that possible? And he also gives you certain examples, and in the purports, Srila Prabhupada also talks about the Bharat Maharaj, where in the he has taken the sannyasashrama, vanaprastha and sannyasashrama, and but again when he went to the jungle, he was remembering only the deer, and the next body he has got is the deer. So if you are only thinking about a dog, you will get a dog body. If you are thinking about something else, you will get that kind of a body. But if you are thinking about Krishna, will you become Krishna, or will you get? Is it true or not?
No, Prabhuji, we won't get Krishna's body.
It's
So
very
that is
possible.
not possible. But that's where Krishna is clearly confirming that. So when you think about me by the end of your life, you'll attain my nature. Some people may put it such a way that nature meaning you'll become Krishna. That's not true. Clearly Krishna says that you'll come to my abode when you think about me in end of your life. Okay, so I know I have not covered much today. Only one part of the doubts out of the dead acronym we covered, but tomorrow we'll cover and complete this entire chapter, which is E stands for end of life, A stands for attaining the supreme, and D stands for devotion. So if no other questions, then
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
One. Now you said abode is abode. Now, like for example, is it like Prahlada who has the abode as in the lap of the Paramapurusha? He will always be seated on his lap. that is his about. So my question is, what exactly is this about we are discussing about?
So let's understand one thing. Again, the context is more from the, I'll take the analogy from the Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. Yoga Mishra Bhaktas have some desire towards them. And if you are qualified to go back to Goloka, so what is your personal characteristic wise? What is your kind of mindset? Can somebody tell?
We serve Krishna Prabhuji as a servant or
Yes.
some other.
You have no other desire. Your only desire is that how I can please Krishna, how I can serve Krishna. Whether by sitting in the lap of the Supreme Lord, it is giving pleasure to the Supreme Lord, I am ready to sit. If I wanted to become a plant in the Vrindavan or in the Goloka, I will become a plant. I do not have any desire for my personal sense gratification. I do not have that kind of a mindset. My only thing is that how I can please Krishna. For that, I am ready to do whatever. So that is the whole point. Is that Ramesh Prabhu clear?
Very clear, Prabhuji. Yeah. Very clear. So also, yeah, I have another one. I mean, it may be off this topic, or I am not sure.
Doesn't matter, Prabhu. Go ahead.
Yeah, since I think this chapter deals with death, so hence I'm talking. I do go through some motivation videos and through some people who have been on and off in the medical death history.
Right.
So in that context, they say when we are living, we think we are talking and all this thing, but when we die, you realize that it is not that we are taking this talking or breathing for granted. When we are just about to die, you realize that actually we have no control and it's just an automatic machine that is running, unknown force or automatic machine which is running. We are thinking that we are making an effort in talking or thinking. It is actually, we are an automatic machine. This is a declaration by people who have frequently come and gone off.
Okay.
Just to add.
Okay.
The
same question, I'll put it this way. Srila Prabhupada, there was one person who came and he was asking Srila Prabhupada, you're talking about, in the same way what you said, I'm twisting the question and putting it this way. Srila Prabhupada was asked by one of the person, Srila Prabhupada, you're saying that Krishna exists and you are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and you wanted to please the Supreme Lord. So the entire journey or the whole life, I will be doing whatever you said and I'll follow the process. What if I know by end of my life that there is no person called Krishna at all? There is no person called Krishna. So what will happen to us? What will happen to me? So that was the question that was posed to Srila Prabhupada. So how many of you are curious to know what was the answer from Srila Prabhupada? So most of you are curious because I was also very curious. What will Srila Prabhupada say? Because this person is saying that by the end of their life, I knew that Krishna is not there. Then what will happen? Then Srila Prabhupada said, assuming that you are saying that Krishna is not there, is true. He is not there. Then he says that, Srila Prabhupada says that, just see what all activities we do in this entire life. We read Srimad Bhagavatam. We enjoy reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We read Bhagavad Gita, follow the instructions, what is given in the Bhagavad Gita. We live a happy, peaceful life by eating Krishna Prasad and following the 4 regulative principles. And we enjoy this entire journey, whatever we are doing, till the end. Whatever life we are allotted, that time we are enjoying. So what the other people, mundane material people will do? Are they really enjoying? So this entire process we are enjoying. In the end, if Krishna is there, which is what it is. But if he is there, we'll go to Goloka. What about you people? What will you do? Because you have not enjoyed your entire life, and in the fag end, you did whatever nonsense, and you end of that your life, you will just be shattered. If you know that Krishna is there, unnecessarily the human form of life is wasted. So that is what Srila Prabhupada has put it in a very nice way. I did not put it in that nice way, but again, the gist is that's what it is. So putting the question to you, Prabhu, Ramesh Prabhu. So that is what. Don't bother about what this Tom, Dick, and Harry is telling about this life is a machine. That's nonsense. Why are you bothered about all these people? So you ask yourself what you were 3 months before or 4 months before, what you are now, and you will be, and whether you are having the spiritual progress. How do I measure whether my spiritual progress has happened or not? Krishna is going to talk about that in this particular chapter, 8th chapter. The KPI, key process indicator, whether spiritual progress has happened. Because we are saying that, right? You are a karma. Krishna has taken you from where? Asking Arjuna, just do your karma. Karma kanda. Next, prescribed duties. Then he said, doing your work is good, but remember me. That's what he said. Now he is taking the bar to a next level. He says that always remember me. When you are doing your work also, how do I remember Krishna all the time? So that is where he is going to raise the bar, but that's where we need to go. So he is going to give you the process and give you how you can validate that also. Whether, where am I right now? In my process of remembering Krishna all the time, where am I? Can I do my litmus test? And find out where I should be able to do things such that I can remember Krishna all the time. So all this is very systematically is going to deal, because this is the Bhakti section, which is what we started, which is from the 7th, last chapter was Bhakti. Now this chapter, the next 6 chapters, is going to very nicely massage you and give you the nice way how you can become a Bhakti yogi. And it is left to you to execute it.
Can I say the same thing? Like I may assume that I'm getting into bhakti, but actually every step, like one of the Mataji said that only when I'm cooking or working, I'm able to do so. Maybe that is what Krishna desires at the moment for her, and for me also. I have kind of defeated in many ways. I mean, probably I realize I'm defeated because I'm coming to this side. Otherwise, I would be enjoying it. What I'm calling defeat right now. So nice. I believe that Krishna's will only. Otherwise, I cannot breathe or like whatever. We are just these machines, probably. That's what I'm saying.
But again, understand one thing. Very, very important. Understand. Each one of us should understand. See, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We all agree. We know that. In the battlefield, he could have said to Arjuna, hey, Arjuna, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So you just sit down, take a nap. I will fight the battle behalf of you. Did anywhere, anytime Krishna say that? Anywhere in Bhagavatam or in Bhagavad Gita? Never he said that. So you have to do your endeavor. No doubt about it. Don't become lethargic. Don't become a lazy bum. So you do your work. But again, when you are doing your work, Krishna is going to, and I am not yet revealing all that because we are going to discuss. Krishna is going to tell that when you are doing your work like an atheist. Work like an atheist meaning that you are working, but again, when it comes to the results, leave it to Krishna. So when you are working like an atheist. That means you are putting your entire 100% you are giving. But when it comes to the result, you are depending upon Krishna. Whatever it comes, I will take it. So this is one way you can also realize and remember Krishna when you work in this fashion. And that's what very systematically I just have thrown one or two things here, but again we have to discuss it in a thorough way, very systematic way. That's where we'll go. Okay, Prabhu. So all of you, we have just started our journey. We are not even 0.01% yet there, to be very frank. So we cannot call ourselves that we are a karma yogi or a gnana yogi or a ashtanga yogi, or not even what is that yoga mishra bhaktas. We have just started our journey, and there will be so many hurdles. But again, you never know when you put your effort, when Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy will shower on us, and we will be able to what do you say, we will be able to get inspired and get motivated, and all that mind intelligence and false ego which is playing a vital role in disturbing us, how they can really come together and help you to really take up this bhakti process. You never know when it will come, but do your effort and expect that Krishna and Guru's mercy will come, and you will be able to do your sadhana. Especially most of you have got question in sadhana, especially when you're taking Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Devotee association plays a very important role. So please, please, please take the association of the devotees, and group chanting, don't leave. All of you, I request you with folded hands that is the only process that will really make you. And I know it is very difficult to sit down and do chanting, but if it is not permitting, just walk at least in your room. You can walk and do chanting, but don't leave chanting. Don't leave association. At least most of you, I know, I've got the calls. You were never used to get up 5 o'clock in the morning. I got the message. Now, just because of the group chanting and the 5:30 chanting which you are doing, you are motivated to wake up, and you are doing it. This is not thought of in your previous times, but it is happening. If that can happen, why not your chanting also becomes much more better? That possibility is definitely there, and that will come one day. So you'll be enjoying chanting. See, one last end by this. When you are doing chanting, you are now chanting for what? Can somebody tell me? When you are doing chanting, you are chanting for what? So when you are chanting, you might be chanting because that is a austerity that you have taken of waking up early in the morning and doing the chanting, whatever prescribed rounds you wanted to do. It might be an austerity. Austerity always goes with saying that I don't like it, but again, still I have to do it, so I am doing it. That's an austerity. But there is not much of a love. There is not much of a service attitude that you have. Slowly we will come there. Now we do not have. But again, I am assuring you, based on not my conviction, but based on the previous acharyas, that Guru Parampara that we have, they enjoyed the chanting, and not just self-enjoyment. They gave joy to the Supreme Lord, because the Nama and Nami are non-different. So when you take this chanting, one day will come when Lord is pleased because you are taking his name. That day will come. So just believe and have faith. Without faith, nothing will happen. And just believe, because none of us, neither me nor Srila Prabhupada nor our Guru Parampara, have given this such that they will get something out of it. They have given it because of absolute mercy of the fallen state we are in. And take this process, and I'm sure that one day, if not this lifetime, this is going to get carried forward in the next lifetime. And the time will come when we all will be able to love the chanting, and Krishna will be pleased. And this is a service, right? And he will be pleased by our chanting. Not that we are doing it such that we'll just get out of this material world and we'll go to Goloka. Again, that's where Yoga Mishra Bhaktas plays an important role. What is their mindset versus the mindset of a devotee? So I know I have kind of confused a lot of things by putting so many things in one place. Please forgive me for my ignorance and for my shortfalls, but I am also learning in this process. But I'll try to rectify things by interacting with you based on the questions that you raise, the doubts I can clarify. If I don't know, I'll ask my superiors and get the answers for you. So once again, thank you all for joining today. We'll end by doing 1 or 2 minutes Hare Krishna Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhaira Prabhu, or anybody who would like to join, please join, one person. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for your wonderful participation, and see you all tomorrow morning in the group Japa session at 5:30. You can join anytime between 5:30 till 7. Please join. And tomorrow evening we have 7:30. We have the same class, Gita Subodhini. Please do join. And if you have any questions, concerns, please message it to me. I'll try to clarify with my capacity what I can. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much all. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.